Alright, so I've gone and filled in the rest of the back of the jersey with the white. So you can see where I've tidied up the top navy stripe across the back. Just took a little bit off it. It was a little bit too far down the back of the jersey. And also tidied up just the edges here of the stripes. So now I'm going to go to the front and do a similar thing across the top. Just a little bit too much navy blue across there. So I'm just going to do that. Alright, so I've done all of the white on our now newly painted figure, and the stripes on the back are just yet to do the silver, but we're going to go ahead and do the blue stripes on the socks. So if you have a look, I'll always start with the bottom sock because that's the one closest to the boot, so it gives you a good indication where you need to start your second one. So we do the bottom one first, so I'm just going to start that now. And I'm going to do the more difficult one, which is the shorter sock. So you don't want to go in fairly close to the, just making a line there. I'll make that thicker, but I'm just making a rough guide as to where I want to go. And I'll do it sort of thin to start with, and then I'll thicken it up just to get closer to that boot, top of the skate that is. Alright, so I've gone and finished that first stripe of that bottom section of that sock. So I'm going to go and do the second stripe now. So there's not a whole lot of room to work with on this right leg of this particular player. So try and go up as high as you can so it leaves room for the two silver stripes. That's if you're doing the Winnipeg Jets or any other sock that's striped like that with a couple of different colours. So I'm just going to start that probably here actually, because it's a good indication as to how close I can get to the shorts. Alright, so, and you can kind of follow the line of the other stripe that you've done to keep it straight. There are a few tricky areas here coming up just underneath the other leg. So you go, what I like to do is go one way as far as I can, and then I can just see it on the other side and I'll continue on from there. Alright, so I'll continue down through that tricky spot and I'll go ahead and finish that stripe. Alright, so we're going to move on to doing the stripes on the elbow arm area now. So you can see that we've completed all the sock stripes. So to get my guide as to where I'm going to start this blue line on the elbow, if you see closely, there's a bit of a plastic, well, through the mould of the player, there's a line there from where the elbow guard meets the shoulder, meets the actual elbow. So I'm going to use that as my guide to do my first line. Once you get your first line in place, the next one's easier. So it roughly runs along that plastic indent there. Okay. So I'm just going to start. And you want to make it reasonably thick because you're going to come over that with the silver stripe, and that can go over the blue anyway. So once I get my rough guide as to where I'm going, I'm just going to make it quite thick. Now I'm just going to check just to make sure I'm in the right area. Okay, I can go up a bit higher there. So now I'm just starting to make that line a little bit wider. Bring it around the other side of the arm. And just make sure I'm going to finish it roughly where the other one is. And it doesn't matter if you're a little bit off, because as I said at the end, you can make up little mistakes by touching up with the paint once it's dried. So I'm just going to take that in all the way into the jersey, back of the jersey. So that's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty close. I'm just going to touch it up a little bit, make it a little bit thicker. Alright, so I've gone ahead and finished all the stripes on the arms. So I had to touch up a little bit with some white because I just smudged a little bit of the blue when I was moving it around, but you wouldn't be able to tell that. So I'm just going to go now and just do the face and the neck area just with the basic flesh colour paint. You could do whatever flesh colour you want, provided they have the paint to it, or you can make up your own, but that's a little bit more time consuming. So I'm just going to use just a basic flesh colour. It's kind of generic. So to do this, I was essentially just follow around the edge of the collar and work my way around. And then through the back here, you probably find on your figures that you get, it's just painted the same colour as the helmet. But I like to just keep going with the flesh colour there as if it's their neck. You could do whatever you want there, really. You could put a hair flying out the back of the helmet. That could kind of be cool, but I just stick with the skin. So I'm just going to go around, continue around the back here. Alright, so we've gone ahead and we've completed the flesh colour over the neck and face area. So now we're getting pretty close to the end. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the silver to go on the outside of every line, blue line that we have. So there's the 2 sock lines on each one and the 2 on the arms. And there's also a silver line that goes across the back here as well. So that's fairly easy to do that following the line of what's already there. The one thing I will say to you is that when you're doing a line, a thin line, don't get too much paint on your end of your toothpick. Like if I've got a little blob like that, it's probably too much, so I'm going to wipe that off and start again. So I'll do the sock line to start with. And we just slowly go to make the paint start moving. And so it's only a very fine line. You don't need much paint at all. You only do it in small little... So even that blob, it's probably a little bit too much. So I'm going to get rid of it. This is where you do go through a bit of paint, just getting rid of the blobs, because you don't want to start getting it too thick. Alright. So I'm just going to keep going around that. And between each little take of paint, I'll just clean my toothpick. Right, so I've gone ahead and just put on the lips and the 2 white dots for the white to the eyes. I don't think you really need instruction on how I'm doing that, just a very light little touch of that. And to do the actual eyes and the eyebrows, I use this Sharpie pen, like a felt tip pen, because I just find that the it's too intricate to do it with a paintbrush the size, with the toothpick that I have, even for that. So essentially all I do is just go in close and just dot the eye. And I'll do the other one. So as you can see, that's all it took. And if they're a little bit wonky, it doesn't really matter because you don't really see it so much. Now I'm going to go ahead and put on the eyebrows. It's a little bit tricky. I just end up starting to make the shape of the eyebrow and slowly get closer. So hopefully when I touch the figurine, it just comes on like that. And I'll do the other side. Alright, so there's his eyebrows and eyes. And as I said, they don't have to be perfect, but you get the gist. So okay, now that the face is done, I'm going to start doing the logo. So there's the one on the centre of the chest, and there's the 2 on the shoulder. So first one I'm going to do is the main logo. So I've cut out virtually everything, but a small little bit of paper around it. Now to do the final cut, to get that little bit of paper off, I'll use tweezers just to hold where I'm not going to cut so my fingers don't get in the way. So essentially, when you're cutting, cut with the furthest, highest part of the scissor. You get a lot more control. And just really take your time because you don't want to lose any of the logo. It doesn't matter if you have still a little bit of the white paper on the outside because it's going on a white chest. And then just with the tweezers, just move it around. You can even just slice off at that excess and then start your cut again. Okay, so now I've cut that off and I'm going to stick it onto here.